Barry, tell us a little bit about the International Rugby Experience in Limerick. You're the newest visitor attraction in the country, I think.
Yeah, probably still the new kids on the block, I suppose. Yeah, we opened the May weekend, so the Tuesday after the May weekend we opened. And so we're open 12 weeks, I suppose, at this stage. But look, yeah, we've had some great feedback so far. I suppose what it is it's a journey of what it takes to become a rugby legend, ultimately. So what we're doing is starting off at the ground floor, winding our way upwards through business. So it's a city centre tourist attraction. So it winds up through the building. And actually, you enter on the ground floor, we're telling people, what it takes to become a legend. So we're really covering the bases here of young boy, young girl, learning what it's like to become part of a club, what rugby does in the communities. Then they learn the skills of the game, they learn the laws of the game, they learn how to become part of a team. And then as you start to move through, it's kind of what it's like to represent your country.
Yeah.
And then
so
we
is,
talk
is,
about
is it quite is it quite interactive?
Yeah, so very interactive. I mean, we've immersive kind of theatre spaces on the ground floor, and then the building changes as you move through, I suppose, and then you kind of move into an area space, and then it's lighter, and we kind of have some interactive exhibits here. There's real physical stuff when it comes to the learning the skills of the game. So you have a ball in your hand, you have a world-class player teaching you the skills. So Johnny Wilkinson's teaching people how to kick a ball. So, and then targets appear on the screen. So you're getting a score as you go through there. So a lot of physical get involved, and a lot of when it comes to the laws of the game, again, interactives on screen. The likes of Nigel Owens kind of teaching you the laws of the game.
Great.
So we've kind of recorded pieces with 75 international rugby players, really, and they're all telling their own story. And so there's audio experiences, there's visual experiences, and there's some where you're kind of reading from a panel. So it's a nice mix of things to kind of get people thinking as they move through the building.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. And of course, you're in the heart of Limerick, and you'd probably claim the home of rugby. Although being a Leinster man, I might have an issue with that, but we'll keep going.
We won't fall out over that. I suppose, the home of rugby, that piece is important to us, and it's the only professional sport in Limerick. But for us, the city centre piece was important, So when the project was first being discussed, it's always been what are the aims of the project here? And the first and foremost is to bring new eyes and new feet to Limerick City. So it's can we get people back into the heart of Limerick City Centre, and can we put new eyes on Limerick City Centre and shine a good light on Limerick? And I suppose the secondary goal of, can we bring new people to the sport? Can we get people involved? And from a health and fitness point of view, it's just, get more people signed up to their clubs, get more people active, So it's always had that dual goal of bringing new eyes to the sport and bringing new feet to the street in Limerick.
Yeah. And when did the idea, if you like, first start? I mean, is this a long time in sort of execution?
It is. I'm 4 years here, but by the time I came to the table in 2019, they'd achieved planning, and the progress on the inside of the building was well advanced. So I think this has been spoken about since 2016, I suppose.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of people around the table, I suppose, with an enthusiasm for sport, but a love of Limerick City first and foremost. So they're former Rugby International. Paul O'Connell is the chairman, Keith Wood on the board, Pat Whelan, a bunch of others. The McManus family, again, with a keen interest in sport and a love of Limerick, but then some architecture expertise, planning expertise, all around the table since 2016. So there was 3 years before I got there where this thing was well advanced,
And it's a not-for-profit, as I understand it, but I suppose you must have worked very closely with the local authority, with Fáilte Ireland. I mean, it's very important, isn't it, to sort of collaborate when you're trying to get a project like yours off the ground?
Definitely. The local authority have been massively helpful. Again, we've gone through we wanted to do something different in the city centre, and we wanted to build a building that architecturally was significant, and that stood out in the streetscape. So it's kind of since in the last 6 weeks, I suppose, even yesterday I won an architecture award in Ireland. But it's been named the nation's favourite building from the RIAI. It's won public realm buildings and things like that since it opened, even in the last 12 weeks, So we have this building that stands out, but of course there's a difficult process going through that where you're trying to do something different, and there's a bit of collaboration with the local authority, making sure we've ticked the right boxes along the way. But Fáilte Ireland, the same. It's the kind of advice at every step along the way. It's kind of pointing us in the right direction, and trying to pull together a team and staffing up and all of that stuff, and training the guys, making sure they're experts in their locality. yeah, we've used Fáilte Ireland for a lot of that stuff, and they've been massively helpful all the way.
Yeah, no, it's many congratulations to all of you, because it's no mean achievement. Visitor wise, I mean, you charge an admission price. So obviously that's your main revenue stream, as well as, I suppose, shop and cafe sales. But where do you foresee visitors coming from? Is it domestic and international, or how do you see that?
Our studies were kind of 70% domestic, 30% international. I'd say the first 12 weeks have told us that's still fairly accurate. I'd say in the 6 weeks to the kind of middle of June, we're probably 50-50. There's a lot of school visits and stuff like that. But as they started to dry up, I'd say even today now, looking at the people coming through the door this morning, we're kind of 50-50 on domestic and international. And you have people coming from all around the country, that some are getting on the train and coming down for the day and coming to see us. But then you have a lot of American tourists, German, French tourists in town as well, that are just popping in kind of on spec. The
and
kind of weather is driving them around.
Yeah, it's multifaceted, isn't it? Because you mentioned also you have space for, I suppose, corporate events or product launches or whatever. So the building itself is a draw, as well as the actual experience within the building.
Exactly. Like we wanted to add a bit of unique event space. Now, of course, city centre gives you a small footprint, but we have kind of a couple of unique spaces for kind of 120 guests. We have a kind of a top floor. So as I said, we were winding through the building, but actually that top floor is multifunctional. So it is the finishing point of the experience. We have kind of a hall of legends up there.
Great.
But in the evening, that becomes a nice event space as well. So it's a nice space for a book launch, a wine reception, something like that. So again, that'll host 60 to 80 kind of people as well. So, and then nice little gift shop in the building, a nice cafe in the building. So yeah, there's a couple of unique spaces within the building as well.
Great. And I know you conducted you commissioned a sort of an independent economic study of, if you like, what the visitor experience would bring to both Limerick, I suppose, and the region. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I suppose from our perspective, even deciding whether we're going ahead with this project, we needed to figure out, look, what can the impact be for us? Like I said, we didn't pick a building that was on the outskirts of Limerick. We kind of picked a building that we knew we wanted to pick up a derelict corner of the city centre. So part of the project has a regenerative effect, I suppose, and it's like, if we take 4 buildings that are derelict, do them up and put something at that corner, we kind of see coffee shops. Even in the last couple of years, a lot of these buildings have been taken over, done up. So we have people living in buildings on this block that hadn't been before. The council have a couple of properties and done those up as co-working spaces. So we're seeing that kind of impact, whether that's us or there's just a general kind of reviving of the area, but we're seeing that kind of impact along the way. But again, in putting it in the city centre, we knew we needed to bring extra bed nights. So if there's a Munster match out the road and someone's coming from Cork to come to a match, look, we don't want them getting back in the car after the final whistle, going back down to Cork and having a drink there in the pubs. It's like, come to Limerick, spend the night, and get up in the morning and come to the rugby experience. So the extra room nights, the extra revenue brought to hotels, the ancillary businesses around town were a key part of this. Like, for us, it's a city centre project. It's a regeneration project.
Yeah.
And not putting it on the outskirts of the city or near a motorway where you would have more space and more parking and all those things. It's like, get people in the city centre, get them spending, get them in the local shops, get them eating their lunches in the local restaurants. That's
exactly. Like the multiplier effect is very, very powerful.
Yeah.
And you're only open since May, but you've already won an international sustainability certificate. So obviously sustainability or the design of the building or the sort of the values of the operation obviously have sustainability in mind.
Yeah, like in everything we do, like we want to make sure we leave a lasting impact, So we, like, a lot of that is customer driven. We were asked those questions in the initial phases. Even we're talking to people pre-opening, they've been talking about, look, like this ISO 20121 was important to those people looking to book spaces. It's important to us, So in everything we do, we're trying to reduce paper, reduce the energy impact, reduce the impact in the environment, and actually to collaborate with local businesses to make sure, look, we might be city centre, but actually get out in the green spaces, kind of create an awareness around people's environmental impact. So we're conscious that we can do a small piece within that building. But the big one for us is like people traveling to get to us to make sure they're using sustainable modes of transport and promoting all of that thing. So it's like, if we're aiming for a number of visitors in a year, then we want to make sure that they're using the train station that's 2 blocks up to get to us. There's cycle paths outside, so a lot of that is kind of key to what we're doing too. So it's something we talk about every day in the building. We have morning meetings, 9:30 every morning. It's top of the agenda on each of those, and it's important.
And that's really encouraging, because it is a journey, not a destination. Sustainability, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's continuous improvement, So we know we've some targets, 6-month targets that we want to revisit again in kind of November, December time.
Yeah.
And then we'll set another bunch of targets and go again, So it's something we'll always be working on.
Great. Well, listen, Barry, congratulations with the International Rugby Experience. I think it's a great addition to Irish tourism. I think it's great for Limerick and the Midwest, but also for Ireland Inc., because, when we're all overseas selling Ireland, it's another key attractor to the country. So well done to you and the team.
Thanks, Owen, and thanks for thinking of us, and thanks for everything you do for the industry.
Thank you, Barry.